No, totally. Matter of fact, compost tea will do the same thing. You just
Oh
take,
yeah, concentrated
yeah,
for sure.
you work, you just go get like a handful, right? And I mean, depends on what you got, but let's just say you ghetto about it, right? So get you a sock out the drawer and grab you a handful of the compost, throw it in the sock, tie a knot in that son of a bitch, put it in a 5 gallon bucket and agitate it for about 2 days, 3 days. Use that water to water your plants, and that's going to be gold.
That's a good tip. I'll have to actually do it with the sock just to try it. Be like, yeah, I'm ghetto.
Well, dude, you got to use what works, right? In the sense of like,
Yeah.
it's basically cheesecloth, fakery kind of, you know what I'm saying? And so
Yep.
you got to use it, right? Like we, if anybody comes out into this thinking that everything's going to fall into place or you ain't going to have to figure something out, you're in the wrong racket. Like every time, every grow season, anytime you're trying something new. So like, just buckle up, Buttercup, because you're gonna be on a learning journey.
Inside of the city, the people are crazy, out of their minds, they ain't got a clue. We gone away, headed west for Montana, left family and friends, all I got now is you. We both got new jobs, a house and a homestead, thinking this was the life, all that there'd be. After our firstborn, you had to stay home. That's when the work got in the way for me. Well, I started farm hop life. We'll come to your farm to help and to wander. Me and the family, a truck and an RV. Send us a message and there will be.
This is the Farm Hop Life Podcast, a traveling homestead family. I'm Matt DeRozier. Tonight, my guest is Chicken Whisperer, master of colorful language. So there's your explicit warning. He is on the Space Coast. Never even thought about trying to homestead until 3 or 4 years ago. Got chickens for the first year, put a lot of time into learning about them, had a knack for it. He had a ducks and had more plans, but last year really slowed down. Started canning and then turned really well for the tomatoes and planned on getting more. And next season, really trying to focus on an herb garden and learning homeopathic thoughts in medicine. That's a lot. You got big aspirations, I think. I mean, once you
Yeah.
go get into herbals.
Well, you know what, dude? It's kind of wild. Like you didn't even realize it was a science, right? Like you look and you sit there and you see those people you see watching the videos, the old wives, the old farmers, and they're just salt of the earth people, right? But there was a real science to this. Like if you didn't do things at the right time, if you didn't water enough, if you didn't add enough of the right soil, shit dies. And it's like,
Yep.
oh, wow, it's not put it in the dirt and like water it and pray. It really like you got to love this thing. So it was a lot more than what you'd ever thought when you walked in the door.
No, absolutely. Um, have you started your herb garden, or you said that's
Oh
next
yeah.
season?
No, we got it. We got. Man, I've got an oregano brain, dude. It's like, gosh, it's huge. And then I got a rosemary that was doing really fantastic. And it's funny about rosemary. Rosemary is almost like you got to neglect it almost. Like I tried to water it as much as I did my oregano and it hated my life. Almost lost it the first year. And
Sure.
then trimming it back, cut it back, and let it But man, it just keeps coming back and back and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Every time you cut it back, by the next year, it just grows more and more. And we've got jasmine and we've got Vicks plant. I've got some toothache plant. Uh, gosh, let's see. We've got quite a few herbs growing. I got 2 sets of lavender. I got a Spanish and an English lavender. Uh, gosh, I don't know. I guess if I sat down and thought about it, I suppose I should have thought about all this shit. I'm sorry, man.
Nah, dude, that's all right. We could just riff. That's not a big deal. Some people
Yeah, cool.
have take notes because they're nervous and they need to know exactly what they want to say. But you're on Twitter Spaces all the time. It seems like whenever I'm scrolling out, there's always a purple ring around your profile picture, and so it's like, oh,
well, I hang out with the boys on there. You know, we got there's a good set of folks on there, you know, that are really into what we're into, you know, and like you can learn so much. I learned great glass water egg trick with some lime, you know, and it like keeps them forever, you know, and so it's amazing. And all you literally do is add the lime mix in the water. The key point is do not wash off the bloom of the eggs and then put them in, man, they'll last for years, man. And like just simple things like that really just change the game, right? Because like if you start to get a bunch of chickens, you're not necessarily selling your eggs, you're giving your eggs away like candy, you know, you start to still stack up on, you know, 2-3 dozen. What do you do with them? You know, they're just going to go bad if you ain't careful.
Right.
So, you know, once you start learning that, you know, in lime water bathing, you got eggs forever, even during the slow times, like in the winter time, like when they slow down on producing, you're in abundance.
So how did you even get into this? Because you said that it's only been 3 or 4 years. So I mean, what kicked it off for you? Because you're very adamant about having chickens. I mean, you're the chicken whisperer.
Yeah, no, right. Absolutely. Actually, that's a wild one, man. I have to give that to God, you know. You know, so I had my own business. I was a cannabis consultant for years. I had a moment, so to speak. I went to a retreat. God blessed me with a ticket. I wasn't necessarily anything like Christian or anything like that. Of course, I believe, you know, sure there's a God. He probably didn't think much of me. I wasn't that great a guy, you know. That was what I thought about the situation. And sent me off to this wonderful retreat. I didn't know, like totally lied to me, like absolutely suckered me into this thing. It was like a $270 ticket. He gave it to me as a gift. He was like, yeah, it's a great thing. It's a leadership thing. You're going to love it for the weekend. It's in the mountains. You're going to have a great time. Totally didn't tell me anything about it being Christian, dude. So I get there, you know, I got like 2 joints to my name. I find out, you know, all these people like literally whip out a Bible, and it's like, I'm like, ah! You know, like, what do you do, right? You know, because like, what do you do, right? You're in the mountains, you ain't got your car, you're up there, you're not like this. You got weed. You're like, wait a minute, I might not be in the right spot. But, you know, I sat down and I listened to him, you know, and I was there for 3 days. What the hell else you going to do, right? So, and you know what, dude? They talked about being such a good husband and a good dad and, you know, and just a good man, you know? And it's like, what is that? You get to start thinking about that. I've been married a long time, had kids, never really thought about what is a good man, you know? And so then I went down a spiritual journey, and I ended up kind of taking that, and we moved out, and I went to the desert for about a year, studied a lot of prophecy, looked at the things around me, decided that people that ran everything was probably evil. I mean, just kind of seemed that way.
Right.
So it was like, seems like, you know, it might be that time, and that's not fun. You know, there's no food, there's no good, there's war in places. And so I started paying attention to these things, man. And as it progressed, I saw what was happening. If you study history, then you kind of see what's coming. And I prayed about it. I prayed diligently. I was like, maybe I'm just paranoid or something. I'm seeing this fall apart. And then, you know, you read the scripture and you read those things coming and you're like, nah, this can't be right. This is like, that's crazy. But when you look around and you're like, oh, wow, they really are tearing everything apart. So we got on it, you know, we got on like self-preparedness and you know, trying to do better for ourselves and learning these things, learning about plants, learning about animals. I went like a lunatic in the sense of like, all my yard's gone. Like it's all gone. It's all garden beds now.
Nice.
And chicken stuff. Yeah, dude. Like my whole front yard's garden beds. And matter of fact, we got both our grapes up there, our blackberries, our mulberries. I run my tomatoes around half one of my yard. The other side's mostly for the herbs. I've got my orange tree, my lemon tree. I've got my avocado tree up here. And yeah, man, raspberries didn't work. They died miserably, but I gave it a shot. I'm gonna try again. But yeah, man, it's just like that. And so really it's all about spiritual awareness of the time and praying about it. And then the answer I received was prepare. And so, you know, I mean, what do you do? So that's what I'm doing. You know, my wife's on board. You know, she looks around at everything. She sees people running the show kind of crazy. Thinks this is the best way. And over the years, all they've done is reinforce our decisions. Like,
right.
This year, we got more beds in the back. You know what I'm saying? I picked up extra chickens last year. I was like, oh, they're really going to fuck this up. Like, you know, seeing the price of food, it's like, oh, man. So, like, what else do you do when everybody that runs things going to burn it down? You got to prepare the best you can. And this is the way, you know. We've been alive a long time before people needed to tell us what to do. Just got to get back to some of that.
Absolutely. Man, a couple of questions in that whole story. What is did you call it a marijuana consultant or a weed consultant?
Cannabis consultant. Because we like to use we like to use the nice word that everybody tolerates well.
What does that mean?
Oh, well, actually, what it ended up being was I was a third-party representative for caregivers, and I would get people that wanted to donate to their grows with them, and then they would get a gift for their donations because selling cannabis is illegal. So, okay. And I also designed and built grows. I have an understanding. Like this wasn't like I never grew nothing in my life. I had only grown pot in my life, so I understood growing on that level. But you know what? Vegetables ain't fucking pot, dude. I'll tell you that. It's different. And like, boy, they're some real like finicky, like, like, wow, you're a temperamental son of a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to talk to your plants. And sometimes you got to give them the pep talk. Be like, what are you doing? You see the rest of these guys? They're green. What are you? You're dying. What's your problem? So, it's great. It's amazing.
Oh man, that's hilarious. From that retreat, do you still keep in contact with any of those people that you were on that retreat with?
No, but the guy that sent me, I do. I keep in contact with him. He's a great guy. Matter of fact, if you live in Colorado and you want somebody to talk to about your finances, his name's Doug Owens. He's in Colorado Springs. Very smart man. Ex-rocket scientist. And he moved into the financial business when he retired. Very, very smart guy. Good man.
Is he on Twitter?
Oh, he's also a deacon too. I don't know. He doesn't really do the social media. I mean, he does like Facebook. He's old, you know what I'm saying? So he don't. He goes and he gets all this stuff from church, and like he's just a good, smart guy though. But if you call down to Primerica, Doug Owens, and ask to talk to him, he's a great guy. He can probably help you with any financial advice you got.
Sure. I got a bunch of cousins in Colorado Springs, so maybe I'll just pop in and see them. Chicken Whisperer.
Yeah, I would have stayed. Yeah. I'll DM you my real name if you need it. But
right.
But yeah, he's one of the guys I consulted with when I was like, all right, man, this is what I see. This is what I feel like's coming. This is what I prayed about. This is my plan. Am I crazy? And he was like, probably not. And so I wish he'd have kind of told me, yeah, because I've been a lot less digging in my life here, right? And
yeah.
No, I love it, dude. I'm gonna get fish. We're gonna get fish, and rabbits are the next step. And probably goats, we're going to try to wound up. But what we want is like one milking goat. And then we want the rest to be little Nubian goats that are like, just for meat every once in a while. Sure. They don't eat a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I really just need the milk goat to produce more than anything. And so apparently goats are very emotionally lonely creatures. So you can't get just goat. It doesn't really work. The goat gets depressed and it doesn't produce, and it's not a happy goat. So you got to get more than one goat. Right, absolutely. So that's the overall plan. I figured that out to round up enough meat. And then between like, we started off wild. It was like, well, let's just plant this and see if it grows. But we've kind of like cut out some of the stuff. Like we don't do kohlrabi no more or rhubarbs or any of the things like, even though you want to be growing something, you know, we just kind of tailored down, focused on greens during the winter. We do a lot of tomato, broccoli. I'm going to move into potatoes soon. I'm sectioning off an entire bed for potatoes. I'm going to try that out first. I've got mixed feelings on that. I got a lot of people telling me to go with, of all things, yard trash bags with potatoes. So I don't know, thinking about it. Well, the same principle as tires, right? Like I had an old woman a long time ago tell me about how to grow great potatoes using tires. And the reason you can grow extended, like if you're in a colder climate, you can grow extended with them because the black itself takes the heat in and radiates the heat and of course keeps everything warm. And you just pull one tire off at a time and harvest your potatoes. So, you know, that's how, that's kind of, yeah, it was smart, you know. So I'm going to give that a shot. I hear sweet potatoes do better here. Being in Florida, you can grow a lot of shit, but you can't grow a lot of shit that you can grow above Florida, if that makes sense.
Yep. How's the soil where you're at? Just super sandy?
Crap, garbage. Like, oh my God, like so bad, dude. And when I first got here, I definitely had to like purchase some gardening soil, but even then, you got to be careful, man. It was sandy. It was like my first year, I got sandy, compressed. Like it was so bad. I had to get straight loam compost and mix with it to break it up for the next year, dude. And then, so I got a municipality, and they'll take the native trees and they'll run them through the wood chipper, and then they'll give you the mulch. You just got to go down there and get it. They'll give you a truckload of mulch, no problem. So I've been doing that, and I started that. I don't know, about 18 months ago or so was my first time doing it. So what I did there was I went and I got a whole truckload of fucking mulch, dude. And I just took it and I just dropped it in the backyard and I spread it kind of thin. And then I just used it. I threw all of my pine needles on there, all the grass clippings on there. And I'd flip it every once in a while, let the chickens go over there. And they love that shit. And dude, I just repiled it, let them spread it out, repiled it, let them spread it out. And that broke down into some of really good soil. So with that idea, I made a couple of piles of nothing but wood, and I just kind of make my own dirt. Luckily I got not a water source, mind you, but it's a overflow next to my house that fills up for, I don't know, 3 months out the year, maybe that. And my wood's right there on the bank, so it just soaks up all of that good water. I can bust into that right now, flip it over. There's worms everywhere, dude. They love it. So that's what I use now.
Dude, that's a pretty sweet setup then. How much?
Oh, I love it.
What size property are you on?
About a little over half acre.
That's amazing.
No, it's not. Oh, dude, every scrap inch is used.
See, that's what I'm taught. Like what I've said before is people on smaller acreages, like they're forced to work with what they have. And so they actually, in most cases, will produce more than people that have, say, like an acre or 5 acres, because when you have more acreage, you actually kind of get lazy. Like, well, I've got all this acreage. Like I can just have my fruit trees over there and my garden beds over here and my animals over here. Whereas like what you're doing, all your stuff is stacked.
Well, keeping stuff out of it is so hard if you spread it out like that, dude. If you don't have it in an organized fashion, keeping your rabbits, your squirrels, and shit like that, unless you want to like fence it in like Fort Knox. And I do that for the chickens. I can't afford it for the vegetables.
Right. So you didn't say raised beds, but you brought in your own dirt. Are you using raised beds or no? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
raised beds. What'd you make them out of?
Well, really, man, I just drove around so I get all my scrap wood from building sites, right? You go and you hit the building sites and you hit their dumpster, dude, and they're throwing out half sheets. slowed down a little bit when the wood got pricey, you know.
Oh yeah.
But even then, you'd be surprised, dude. I'll roll up on dumpsters and think to myself, dude, I'll fire somebody at this job. They threw this good shit away. So, like, really, man, it's just all a bunch of wood I've got just from everywhere. One of, like, I don't know, 3 of my beds is built out of a dock a guy gave me that told me I could have all the scrap wood from that. I learned a neat trick. And so I'm using pallets, right? And so underneath in the back, I've got pallets. And so what I did is I took them up 3 high, and I took the top layer of wood out the other one, right? Out the top one. And then I put my sides around it. So I've got like 2-foot sides along with the dip down into the pallet. And then I took just weed barrier cloth, the black weed barrier cloth stuff. And I just stapled it at the bottom, click, click, clack. And I threw dirt on that, dude. And it's great. It's so great. Keeps my animals out of it. No bunnies, no squirrels, no nothing get in it. I mean, dude, it's worked out really great. I think I might have wanted to make them a little deeper on a couple of them, but I don't know. Then it comes to like, once you put in all that dirt, that's a lot of dirt, you know? So you don't really need Hugo culture in that, because the pallets will break down and give you a little acid. It's very good for it. So, you know, it's like, I don't know. It's been working great though. And then putting my strawberries up. I got my strawberries up. I used an old scrap piece of gutter I got. And it's, God, I don't know, 12 feet long. And it goes above my, I wish it was daylight. I'd take it out back and show it. But it goes above where my garden is. It's like the top of where you walk in to get to the main bed of my garden in the back. And so my strawberries grow on top of that, and it keeps them up off the ground, and it keeps the bugs away from them. Dude, I was playing hell with these ants. Florida and ants. I wouldn't be surprised the whole state just got up and moved one day, because it really was just an ant the whole time.
So do strawberries not need that much like depth of soil then, if you can grow them in a gutter?
No. Don't need depth of soil really at all. Yeah, the runners go that way. Yeah. And even then they're not deep rooted plants.
Interesting. Okay. I think I've seen that gutter thing before, but I was like,
Yeah, I totally stole it, dude. I was like, dude, for 2 years straight, they just I might get a handful of strawberries for the kids. Everything else was the squirrels and the bugs. And the chickens, right? Because when they're half gone, chickens are excited because, you know. So, but this worked out way better. In the dead summer, it's a little rough on them in the sense that they brown a little bit on the leaves. You just kind of got to keep them watered extra good, you know. I ain't quite figured that part out yet, but I think if I build my next one underneath this shaded area I got in the afternoon sun, because I think it's the afternoon sun getting me, dude. That's another thing. Where your sun is at 10 a.m. and 4 o'clock fucking mean the world to your plants. Who'd have known, right? And it's like just something as simple as shadow for an hour will like half the size of one of your plants, dude. It's like so wild.
I put my raised beds in a really dumb spot. They are on the west, I guess like the westish side of my house. And so it's not until like, I don't know, in peak summer, it's not almost until noon that they start to see the sun. And so it's like, well, damn, I'm gonna have to just like push them further out or completely tear them down and do something different. But I do wonder about
use them for your greens. Use them for your greens during the summer. Like if you got enough shade, you know what I'm saying? You can run your greens a lot longer. So you can run your spinach, your kale, your some people use that bok choy, you know. You can run those a lot longer if the shade's kind of on them. And really, man, it's that 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock sun that's like the hardest hitting. So, you know, if you got something to burn, that'd be the time to watch it. But nah, man, I try to use my shade to my advantage because I only got so many places to put beds. I've got a couple places I tried. You know, you do what you can, but after 2 years, I can't get them to produce, so I had to relocate them. But you use that for like your water storage and stuff like that, right? Like I got over here right above my shoulder, I got a 300-gallon tank right here, and it's on a corner spot, gets nothing but shade, you know. And I was like, all right, so I just extended a gutter piece out to kind of run it over there. you know, and that's really what you do. All your shady spots is where you put your storage shit, and all your sunny spots is where you grow shit. Like, and that's just how it works.
So what other stuff have you tried that has worked well? Any
Worked
specific
well.
plant or trees? Like, how's your avocado plant doing?
Avocado's doing good. It takes about 3 years to start producing. That's one thing. Everything takes a little longer to produce than you want it to. You know,
Right.
oh, I got some Barbados cherries. They produced the first year, you know, but only like right at the bottom. So I'm expecting more out of that. But those are supposed to be big producers. The blackberries, this their first. This will be, yeah, they got a solid year in here real soon. So they'll have their solid year in. I imagine next season they're going to be blowing it out good. The grapes did all right last year, a little earlier than expected. You know, a lot of that has to do when you get what you're going to plant. Make sure it's over a year old. You know, go ahead and spend the extra $10 because that's $10 buying you a year. I promise. So like, go on and do that. Get it 2 to 3 years, and then it'll be producing. It might take a little 6 months, 7 months shot to get right. It depends on what time really you plant it. If you plant it early spring, it'll be fine by summer. If you plant it early fall, it'll be fine by winter. If you plant it somewhere in between, you know, it might not be till next season. But really, man, that's the thing that it's once these forevers start producing, I feel like I'm succeeding. You know, that's really what that's about. Anything you can get that once it's in and done, and then all you got to do is feed it and water it, check it for bugs every once in a while. That's your goal. I mean, that's all you, because you only got so much energy, and you know you're trying to build something big. So you want as many things that are set up like a snare or a drop trap that you can get, where all you got to do is walk by and get the food and then keep going. So it's like that's that. Get your berries, get your nuts, you know, get your trees, get your apples, get your peaches, those kinds of things. Really, and you got to think about it like this. Let's just say shit only goes just the way it's going. Well, look at logistics. You know what I'm saying? You see what's coming off the shelf. You see what's harder to get on the shelf, what's more expensive on the shelf. These are all very important, you know. And this is just gonna kind of amplify if you think about it. Like, so last year they made them cut all that wheat, all that soy, right? And then the prices got jacked and the fertilizer was off. So let's say they planted with their normal season thinking they was going to get 100% of their average yield. Well, they didn't have fertilizer. They didn't know that though when they planted. So they planted like they were going to have fertilizer. And then the fertilizer they could afford only gave them 70% of their normal yield. Well, if you're talking food and then seed and then stuff for the cows and animals, we're already going to get kind of shorted, right? And then look what's going out with the meat. They had us kill the meat. So the meat's not going to be enough to, I mean, of course, there will be some reproduction, but look at how much you slim that out. So automatically, we're going to have less animals next year. Automatically, we're going to have less vegetables, less wheat, less soy, less corn. These staples, you know. So we know what's going to kind of come because it's out of our hands. We can't control that aspect of it.
Right. All you can control is what you're growing in your backyard.
That's right.
Or in
that
your
is
case,
right.
Your front yard.
Every piece of yard I could possibly grow. I got a plant. I literally reach over here, pick you up a plant, reach over here, gotta show you my seeds. Like, dude, we got tons of herbs already that we've got dried, that we've gotten set out. Even stuff I just had to get. Yeah, no, yeah, I want more. I want some elderberry, you know, some yucca, some, I want quite a bit more, actually. There's more to get. There's always more. Like, it's amazing, actually.
What's some stuff that hasn't worked for you, though? Like, what are just like, wow, that failed hard?
Corn here. Like, me trying to get corn to work here has been
I could see that.
impossible. Oh, dude, it's so bad. Not only is it like, it's just not getting the size you want it to, you know? It's like, dude, I got so many bugs to deal with when it comes to the corn, and I don't know why. It's like it's the worst thing that gets bugs for me. I mean, my tomatoes will go forever, and until I got to deal with the hornworm, here and there. Other than that, it'd be great. I really just I don't know what it is with corn. To be honest with you, I can't fuck with it. I'm not good at it.
It's difficult here too, and I'm not really sure why. I also neglected mine pretty heavily, and you go to like peel back, like like you shuck the corn, and it's like spotted, like there's like half developed kernels, like it looks super weird, and like even the chickens are like, "You want me to eat this? This is."
I will say my chickens did enjoy, what I'm saying, but they had you ever seen a corn silkworm, dude? They're fucking retardedly up there, dude. They're so bad. And it's like you peel it down, there's this bug in there. You're like, because you think it looks good, and you peel it down, and there it is. You're like, man, what the? I didn't get out one ear of corn to work for me last year, dude. I gave up. I'm like, told my wife.
I have seen these things.
Yeah, dude. Dude, I hate those things, dude. It's like so ridiculous. But see, so corn was a bad one for me. I don't know. I've kind of won with a lot. You know what I'm saying? My raspberries, fuck, I failed miserably. I even took care of them. I don't know what the hell happened, but it was like, all the leaves started turning black, and it walked slow as Christmas, dude. It took it, I don't know, a month or two, and it's slow as Christmas. Come out, 2 more leaves black. Come out, 2 more leaves black. Come out, 2 more leaves black. You're like, what the fuck? I fed it. I watered it. I talked to it. I pepped it. I was like, I don't know, man. So that was another failure on my part, was raspberries. Oh, and what was that? I think it was a kiwi, and I didn't know you were supposed to get 2 kiwis. So I had a kiwi growing for like 2 years that never gave me shit. I got mad at it, cut it down, and yanked it out the spot to put something else in. And then it was like a couple of weeks later when I was bitching about it, somebody's like, oh yeah, you just needed another kiwi. I was like, oh, so I'm stupid. Oh, I see. My fault. That happens. I get it. Yeah. So I'm going to try kiwi again eventually.
You got a specific kind that you are shooting for?
No, just whatever works. I consult, like when I go to like get specific on it, like I want to be real specific with my peaches, because there's very few peaches that grow in Florida. And so it's like I look at Southern Florida University or South Florida University. They have been genetically making plants that work in Florida. That's how I even got the grapes I got, because I got the Florida specific grapes. They had to cross them with muscadine for the thickness of the skin, with a bunch grape for the sweetness, just to even make it work here in this temperate. So like there are some very specific Florida things that really grow their ass off here.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to need it. That's for sure.
Indeed.
What's been the biggest challenge you faced so far?
Myself. Like
just
serious
knowledge, or
you know what, dude? Like not being organized as like I should be. Like I can't tell you 2 years in a row, I had to wait till shit popped before I remembered what it was. Cause like the first time I tried to write it directly on the tray, but then the water washed it off when I would water into seed trays, right? So I'm stupid. And then later on, I was like, oh, I got smart. I'm going to put this tape on there. And then I wrote on the tape. And you know what? The tape bled through and like got watered, and everything was so water and me and ink, not my friend. So it's like, and I smoke an enormous amount of pot. You understand? So like trying to remember all this shit, probably not going to happen.
I used a label maker, and like, if you, I don't know what you do for work now, but if you had a label maker at work, you just go print all the labels and then put them right on the side of the tray.
No, absolutely. No, I totally actually need one of those. You remember them old school things when we were a kid, and you would like click, click, click.
Yeah,
make the
actually.
dude.
They have that little tape, and like you squeeze it to punch the. Yeah, that'll work.
That's the one. And I've done a lot better. I'm getting better. I use my whiteboard, and I'll put lists on my whiteboard to help me remember. But really, it's just about that, you know, and then like popping the seeds and getting them in the ground at the right time, you know, not waiting, you know, an extra week because you're trying to get something else to finish, or you're trying, you know, your timing, dude. Like your timing is everything on this. And like I'm the biggest obstacle I got.
Sure. I mean, we're trying to, in a season, you know, do what Mother Nature does over a couple of years, could be like to do it naturally, right? And so
That's
like
right.
so like a tomato will grow in the wild. It just needs the absolute like bad like right conditions for it to take hold in the wild. And you know, maybe even if it does sprout, something will probably come by and eat it. But if it actually does get tall enough to where it does produce, well, maybe something happened and like, you know, bees don't pollinate or something. I don't know. Literally anything could go wrong. And so, you know, we're a little too hard on ourselves when something doesn't go right.
No, and that's fair. That's fair. It's you know, I don't like beat myself up over it. I do pray about it. I'm like, man, dude, like, can you like slap me in my head or something? Sometimes like hit me on a button or something, you know? And but when it came to learning, you know, like, oh man. So you ever heard of the soil web?
Vaguely, yeah. Can you explain it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the soil web is like the biology of your soil, and you mean that in the truest sense of all the way down to the bacterial elements of it, right?
Okay.
And so what you learn is that your soil has to have war going on between this bacteria, between like good nematodes and bad nematodes, and good fungal nematodes and bad fungal nematodes. They need to go to war in your soil, and you have to provide the environment for them to do that. The reason is because the bodies that come from that war are the bioavailability of your nutrients, and it's your carbon. So like when you're getting rid of when you're getting rid of insects of any kind, you have to keep in mind that when you use certain poisons, most of them really, you're killing off the good ones too. It's not just the bad ones you're killing. And that's why your soil always has to have vitamins put in it, because you don't combat the bad with good and allow the bodies to give nutrients to your plants. And so I've been studying a lot about soil web and then compost production. Compost is your lifesaver. It makes everything work. Like even if you suck at some things, your compost can save your life. Right. And really, it's about getting that down pat. And dude, I'm telling you, any free wood chips you can get are your friend. You want them.
I've heard of a compost method called Johnson Sioux. It's you basically take a concrete like mesh hoop, like you make it's like 5 feet tall, and you make a hoop around it, and then you have
the one in the middle
pipes. Well, I think you have at least one. I think the ones when they did it was like 5. So you have perforated pipe that allow air into this container, and then you also have to line it with landscape fabric so it doesn't like basically fall out. And so you put all your stuff in and get it wet or whatever, and you have to let it sit for like 9 to 12 months. And it's like the best compost you could possibly make, supposedly. And the guy I listened to, he's like, if I've got a plant that's not looking very good, I'll take a little bit of this compost, and it's like it has like a clay like texture, I guess, to it when it's ready. And he's like, I make a little ball and I pull back some of the dirt and put it right at the root, like basically at the base of the plant, and put the dirt back, and like that thing will spring back in like a day or two. Like it's just like it's like medicine for plants.
No, totally. Matter of fact, compost tea will do the same thing. You just take
concentrated.
Sure. Yeah, you work you just go get like a handful, right? And I mean, Depends on what you got, but let's just say you're ghetto about it, right? So get you a sock out the drawer and grab you a handful of the compost, throw it in the sock, tie a knot in that son of a bitch, put it in a 5-gallon bucket and agitate it for about 2 days, 3 days. Use that water to water your plants, and that's going to be gold.
That's a good tip. I'll have to actually do it with the sock just to try it. Be like, yeah, I'm ghetto.
Well, dude, you got to use what works, right? In the sense of like,
Yeah.
it's basically cheesecloth, fakery kind of, you know what I'm saying? And so you got to use it, right? Like if anybody comes out into this thinking that everything's going to fall into place or you ain't going to have to figure something out, you're in the wrong racket. Like every time, every grow season, anytime you're trying something new. So like, just buckle up, Buttercup, because you're going to be on a learning journey,
Learning journey. I like it. What's the best part about it?
Dude, the first tomato sandwich I ever made with a tomato I grown was probably one of the best sandwiches I ever had in my life. You feel me?
Yeah.
First time my wife took the cucumbers, the onions, the tomato, made up a little, like, I don't know, cucumber salad or whatever, shit the hippies eat. I don't know. I gave it a shot. It was amazing. It was amazing. All vegetables out of my garden. No fucking clue that I could even do these things, right?
Right.
Chickens, right? The first time, you ever had to really have a moment where you took care of your animals, right? They were sick. You brought it back to health. You saved its life. Dude, you feel like you're fucking Superman. You feel like, oh, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can we even do this, And it's like, those are the moments, the moments that they don't tell you can have, that they tell you got to buy from a store or you got to rent from somebody else, It's those moments that tell you that you might not have to die if it was just you. And that's the shit that makes you strong,
What kind of sicknesses have hit your chickens?
Oh, dude, I got flox pox my first year.
I don't know what that
and that's
is.
an easy. Oh, dude, it's like chicken pox for your chickens, but it'll go down their throat and it'll kill them eventually because they get infections. They get like thrush. You're right. So it'll start on the outsides, and apparently, which I didn't know this, like you could even pick up flox pox from other. Like if you're visiting chickens, you can bring back flox pox to your group. But the minute I found out what it was, which, you do your diligence, you look at it, I started searching for homeopathic ways. And dude, the shit they wanted me to do to them chickens, to give them the certain medicines, to get them vaccinated, to give them, all kinds of shit, right? No. Took a half ounce of olive oil, 8 drops of lavender, 8 drops of oregano oil, shake that shit up, put it on twice a day. Shit'll go away and it won't spread. Also helps to diatomaceous earth your coop real good if you get that, because you don't want insects in there biting one, carrying it to the other. So you minimize, right? So you give them a real good dosing of diatomaceous. Insects can't land on nothing, right? It's like little forest of glass. And
it suffocates them or something.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Yeah, no, I love diatomaceous. Matter of fact, food grade diatomaceous earth, I do recommend that. It's a parasite cleanse. You just take 1 little teaspoon. I use a 8-ounce little water bottle. Same little, just fill it up, put your teaspoon in, put your top on, shake that shit up, kill it, do it for 10 days straight. It's a parasite cleanse. Food grade diatomaceous only. So I recommend that for you, your animals, just having around as a great deterrent. So yeah, that was probably a big one. I did losing animals sucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Twinkle Star. I let my kids name the things we keep. So talking about right, Twinkle Star and Flappy McFloppy Feet, which is our duck. So that was the pair of ducks. And then Twinkle Star, I'm afraid, passed. Now we got Jelly Bean in downtown Brown with Quackster. So that it no depression or anything. But so this is my first big event though, right? I wasn't putting enough calcium in their food, and I didn't realize that, right? I was like, no, don't eat broken eggshells, because I didn't know no better, right? And I wasn't adding oyster shell because I didn't know no better. This ain't stuff they tell you, you know what I'm saying? Like when you pick up the chicks, this is like a shit they ought to put on a list. And so my duck got egg bound and she hemorrhaged, you know?
Oh no.
We didn't know what the hell to do, right? So we ran around like lunatics, even went to the vet, tried to take it to the vet. Vet's like, dude, that's a farm animal, dog. We can't do nothing for it. Finally, we got a vet that felt sorry for her, put her out of misery. That's the best we could get. That was an experience. Yeah. And so that's the only one I've lost like that, though. I made sure now to do a lot better, but I've learned a whole lot since then. That first year with chickens was a real learning experience. A lot of like wins, but a lot of like, sad moments, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to like death and shit, or like when they were sick, I didn't know that they were going to make it. Just kind of stuff like that. You get attached to the damn things, you start to, they got personalities. They're great. They come out and they see you in the morning, they run up to you. They want love and attention. What do you do? Right. They're great.
So you being the chicken whisperer, what do you like more, chickens or ducks?
Chickens, 100%. Do not get those little pooping bastard duck poop bazookas unless that's just your thing, dude. Like if you like ducks, more power to you. But poop bazookas, dude, I shit you not. They will shit for you.
That's interesting you have that take, because a lot of people, I'd say a majority of them, be like, oh yeah, ducks, way better than chickens. I guess I've never had ducks, so I can't make the comparison for myself.
Well, like personality wise, they're cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the only bird I've had that we didn't really prefer was quail. Quail are vicious and kind of stupid and cannibalistic. So yeah, they're not exciting. Like when you send your 8-year-old out to feed the quail, and there's 4 of them eating another quail. They're like, oh, that's exciting. So that was a talk. So yeah, that is the end of the quails. But yeah, but no. As for the ducks, they're cool personality wise, dude. But I'll be frank with you, they'll run around and hide their damn eggs. Little bastards will put eggs underneath everything just because they know you got to crawl under there to get it. And they're party animals. Like right now, if I took the phone back there and walked back there, you'd and they just start talking to me about whatever. And so they're like party animals. They don't sleep in the coop. They refuse to sleep in the coop. I got like 3 places for the ducks to sleep. They pick where they want. They're party animals. I don't know what to say. And so I guess that's the reason. It's just more like, chickens are real convenient, like in the sense they tend to lay the eggs in the same spot. You got food, they'll do anything you say. So like a whole lot more cooperative, in my opinion.
Sure. I've heard people like have trained their ducks to to march off to bed essentially. And I was like, I wonder if that works for chickens. And so I started doing this thing where like, oh, chickens go to bed. And I just would do that, I don't know, maybe like 10 times, like while like gently like herding them. And after, I don't know, 2 weeks, they just started going, I'd start clapping and like they started going in the coop. So
perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. No, like my chickens are like, they love me. They're so easy for me. They're like in the morning, open up the gate. They're fine. They come out. They have a great time. They hang out in their yard. They've got a huge yard. And so it's like they hang out. They got a quarter of my backyard, actually. So they own all of that. And when I walk into that part of the backyard, it's their world. And so, and they're great, dude. And then I'll walk back sometime in the evening after dark and shut the gate. No big deal. They're already in there. They'll burp at me. That'd be about it. So they're so easy, dude. I got my nesting boxes in a real convenient spot for them. They're great. You feed them, you talk to them, you pet them. They burp. They do funny shit, and they give you eggs. They're like the only pet that pays rent, basically.
That's true. So you've only been at this for like 3 or 4 years. If someone had told you 10 years ago you'd be homesteading, what would you say to them?
No. I just laughed
Like
at
that. That's like saying, like telling them, like that's for hippies, or like what would you say?
him. No, man, I wore shiny shoes and slacks. I sold drugs for a living. I was not going to be doing that. You understand? I was not going to be getting my hands that dirty. I loved shirts at one time. Now I fucking hate them. You know what I'm saying? I loved shiny shoes at one time. Now I can't stand socks. You feel me? Uh, like, nah, man, my whole world's different now. Like, it's something about it. You put your hands in that dirt, man. You pet them animals. You know, you walk out in the morning. You just feel the life in your yard. You know, there's nothing that replaces that. So, nah, ain't no going back. I know that. But if you'd have told me 10 years ago that this is what I'd be doing and that I'd even enjoy making soap, I'd have been like, you smoke crack, dog. I can't help you with that thought process. So, like, it just, I don't know. It just, nah, wouldn't have been me. Now, shit, I feel like I wasted so much of my life not learning these things. You know, like, because for one, it's beautiful. It's amazing. Like, it teaches you about the world around you, shows you about the creator and the creation, you know, and it makes you appreciate simple things, you know.
Do you still have any friends from your prior, let's just call it your prior life, that like saw your transition from what you were doing to what you're doing now? Like, are they still around, or are they like, nah, that's weird, you're too far gone?
Nah, it ain't like that necessarily. I can still make phone calls if I needed to, so to speak. But like, nah, man, we're different. It's all different roads now. So,
Sure.
yeah. Guy I'm buying this place from, even, uh, shit, we were home team for 20 years, man. You know, we started out doing bad things together, you know. But even he don't look at, you know, he's like, all right, man, you know. And now I suppose with everything the way it is, if we had that re-talking about it, you know, because I ain't talked to him about why I was doing this for a long time, you know. And I suppose if we re-talked about it, he might have a different attitude. But nah, it is what it is, man. You know, folks got to make choices, you know.
Absolutely. We got a comment here from Steady Presence. I'm so glad he's come into homesteading. It's healing.
Oh,
Do you have a
man,
comment
yeah.
on that?
No, absolutely, yeah. Not even just your soul, but your understanding of life, your respect for humanity, for people, for everything. Really, I mean, doesn't it teach you respect? You know, when you see it all breaking down in your world, and you start to realize what it is people go through and have been through, right? Like, think of all the people that did this for a lifestyle, not for a choice, like because they had no choice. That was the biggest salt of the earth we ever had were in those people, man. So, like, that's where I get my understanding. Like I say, I regret not taking this path a lot longer ago.
It's so you talked about like liking you know, nice shirts and pants and shiny shoes, and now you wear overalls, and you sent me a funny comment earlier today, like overalls are the best thing ever, and like
Yes.
why the overalls?
Oh shit, dude! Do you know how much shit I can keep in my overalls? You know how many tools I can carry in my back pocket? Put my phone in my front pocket so I don't break it when I squat down and when I'm lifting. Dude, I love my overalls, man. They're like the best thing ever. Like, why the hell we took these out of general circulation? I don't know. I don't think these kids know what they're missing.
I do like wearing them in the winter. They're kind of cozy. I mean, mine are insulated too, but I'm in Montana. I'm not in Florida, so.
Yeah, see, to me, snow, definitely evil. If you could like place something on an evil list, snow would have to go on it. I'm just not a fan.
Dude, when we got snow-covered mountains from my deck, dude, that's pretty nice. That's a nice view.
No, it was beautiful. In Colorado, it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Garden of the Gods was one of my hangout spots. Pikes Peak's amazing. You see how I'm dressed right now? I'll be dressed like this till January. Okay, so I don't.
When do you break out the socks? When do you put socks on? You said you hated socks.
Probably January, February, maybe January, February, probably. Yeah, no, man. This is the running gear right here. Slides everywhere I go. Fuck all the dumb shit. There ain't no reason for it here.
It's perfect. So, you have how many? Do you care to share how many kids you have?
Oh yeah, I got 5 kids.
5 kids. Do you homeschool them all?
The great big one that you just saw, that's my oldest.
Nice. Do you homeschool all of them?
Yes, now. Yeah, now. For sure. Now, after the mask shit, no, my kids wasn't getting no fucking mask put on them. You know, pumping them full of crap. No way, dude. I protested school board here. I was like, this was one of the 16.
You. Oh man, if I could sit down at that school board meeting with you there, I would have brought everyone popcorn. That would have been fantastic.
Oh, dude, they couldn't stand me, dude. Don't give me the bullhorn. But anyways, it's like that bad, right? And so it's like we talked about it, but I will say here in Florida, they're fixing it. So I'm talking to the wife about it. We're considering putting them back in school because like they're fixing the history lessons. They're taking all that weird shit out of there. Nah, you know what I mean? So it's like, sure, I want to give them a shot, you know? Like, I mean, that's the trust, right? Like we gave them all of this trust. We allowed them to be the forebearers of this institution that they demand we put our children in. The least they can do is not fucking break them. I mean, I feel like that's a fair request, right? Yep. So like when you get to that point where you're sitting there and they wouldn't give you an exemption for any reason whatsoever, right? No religious exemption, no medical exemption, nothing, right? They wouldn't give you no exemptions. We said screw it. And so like, especially these last, I guess, 3 years, pretty much almost. The first time was because of the woke nonsense. And the last 2 years was because of the COVID nonsense. So it's just been no choice, really.
How are the kids liking homeschooling? Do they like it, or would they want to go back to school? Or
so they got 2 weeks. They got 2 weeks to give it a shot in school. Not this last year. Let's see. Yeah, it wasn't this year when we put them in, but it was the other one. And we was arguing with the school board, right? And so the governor had said he signed a thing: no mask, no vaccine for school. Kids wasn't going to be bothered. Literally 2 weeks later, this district decides, you know, fuck him, they're going to do what they want kind of thing, and fuck all the parents. So, okay. So we start our little battle back and forth. So my kid was in school. Well, 3 of them were. One of them was in middle school, and that's the one that really gave me the feedback. You know what I'm saying? And then my other 2 started elementary school. Other 2, peaks and valleys. They didn't have nothing bad to say about it, except for my son, Memphis. They made him, because he wouldn't mask and no vaccine, they made him and the other kids that were in that boat eat completely away from the other children, all the way to the outside tables, ostracized, made them feel like, you know, they wasn't a part of the group, you know. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, that was his last day there, was when that happened. And yeah, we snatched him out. But my daughter, man, she told me about these middle school kids, man. They're fucked up, bro. Like it is so bad. It is so scary. Like she was telling me about all of these kids that just didn't know nothing about who they were. No foundation whatsoever, man. She was counseling these kids, you know? And it's like, and that was the scariest thing. And she didn't necessarily she wasn't like, I won't go back, you know? But she was like, I don't want to be involved in all that. Those folks are crazy. And, you know, what could I say? You know, I mean, she's got boys coming, talking to her about, I don't know if I want to be a girl or not. That's not our world, bro. So, you know, when she's talking this talk, she's trying to tell old boy, you're a boy, dude. You know, I don't care what's going on. You're, you know, and like, so what do you do, right? And so it's like, I don't know, man, but Florida, like I said, I got hope, I got faith, I pray, I'm watching. It seems like it's going to be better a lot sooner than later. Would that help us? If we could trust them, yeah. I mean, I ain't going to give up just to go for one of us to go make more money doing some shit. We're not going to give our kids up and sacrifice their mind and their hearts, you know. So
Sure.
whatever, you know what I'm saying? My youngest is 8. It ain't that long till school's done. Do what we got to do.
Sure. So how was that transition then from, you know, okay, they're in school, you don't like what the school's doing, all right, pulling you out?
It was interesting in the sense of like, you know, so I'm dealing with like 8th grade, 3rd grade, 1st grade, you know what I'm saying? So it's like trying to work all that out. Keep in mind, you're talking to a 10th grade dropout, you know what I'm saying, who didn't have any good parents. So I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But it turns out we did actually really well. We had to take a state, and state gets you to take an evaluation every couple of years, you know, to see, make sure you're not, you know, making your kids retarded. And you know, I get it, you know, but they did great. Like because we got to pay for this evaluation, right? So we got the teacher, whatever. You just got to find a retired teacher. They're all over Florida. They do these evaluations. He was like, our kids did fantastic. So like, as it stands comparatively, we're winning. So I can't ask for more than that. I might not be teaching them rocket science shit, but we're winning. So there's that.
Any reliance or reaching out to like other homesteading groups, or not homesteading, homeschooling groups?
We've looked at the, you know, like the little blogs and stuff. We didn't get with a group here. I'll be real with you, man. I'm a very unorthodox person, if you can't tell. So
yeah, I can tell.
Getting in groups with normies is not my thing.
You got to find non-normies. Where do you hang out? See if those people will homeschool their kids with you.
No, that'd be fun. No, well, you know, I mean, I suppose in the beginning it would have been like probably helpful. You know what I'm saying? Trying to work out like things to do and like you know, things away from home. You know, where they got more people and stuff. You know, but we've managed to figure some of that stuff out, and then my kids they're blessed with this neighborhood in the sense of like all of the people around here love my kids. So it's like my kids can go to the house right there, to the house right there, to the house over there, no problem. House over here, no fucking problem. Knock the door, hang out with the old people, the whole 9 yards. They love them to death. So yeah, no, dude, I'm so blessed where I'm at. Like, I couldn't have planned it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's great. I feel very grateful that the Father put all this on our heart and helped move heaven and earth to get us here, in my opinion. So I can't ask for more than that.
That's really good feeling. My oldest is 2, so I've got a long ways until I get to where you're at, but I can't imagine the feeling that you have. So,
oh man, they make you better, and it's every kid is different, right? Every kid makes you challenge a part of yourself you didn't know you'd have to challenge. You know what I mean? So it's like each one of them, even though they're raised in the same environments, obviously are going to have wildly different personalities, which is like the craziest thing. So it's like they ask you to reach in yourself and find out how to negotiate with them as an individual person, you know? So they make you better in every way possible, because what's on the line is not only their future, it's you know, how they think of you, how you know, the respect level of life, what you want them to perceive in life, you know. So it's all so beautiful, man, when it comes down to it. It's the hardest, greatest thing you ever done, I promise.
And to come back, study the whole thing of homeschooling, not making your kids retarded. So
yes,
that is a bonus.
Yeah, no, right. You got to have a goal, right? Not retarded should be like top of the list on that goal. And but you know, we watch unorthodox things, right?
Yeah.
Right, it's a benchmark, right? So like so I don't know if you've ever so like this one thing is called Sprouts, and it's good. It's on YouTube, and they do a lot of critical thinking lessons and things like that. And then I use after school. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's also very good. Also geared towards critical thinking skills.
I think I've heard of
Right
OutSchool
now,
as well.
I haven't heard of that one. I have to check that out.
OUT, OutSchool.
No, I definitely would have to check that out. I love those things, dude. Like, I try to use animated, intelligent kind of teaching. You know what I mean? Because the animated aspects will keep them a little interested in it, while the substance of it is probably a little above their pay grade on some things. Anyway, some of them, I mean, they blow me away at what they understand. Like my boy, that was just my 10-year-old that just came over talking to me. Right now, we're watching The Art of War. And so you got an animated breakdown of The Art of War that breaks down the chapters. Yeah, it's really great. Dude, it's so good. And after I watched it, I was like, got to get this to my kid. So like, so good. Just look up Art of War animated. It'll give you, and then playlist, and then you'll have all of them right there. So we're going through that right now. And because it's animated, right, kind of keeps them a little interested in it. Now we form conversations about it, and we've talked about each one of these lessons because it's only like one a day for them. And that's just recently what we're studying. But I mean, I got no problem breaking out Greek philosophy on them, you know, metacognition, you know, how to break down thinking skills, you know, like what am I thinking about? Why am I thinking about it? What good is it? You know, like metacognition, right? So like I don't know that I even know what I need to teach them, but I do know that I need to teach them how to think. So when they learn something, they understand it. And I think that that's really my basic goal set, is to just teach them how to think, you know, not what to think. So that's kind of like where I'm at. And like I said, they might end up back in school if people stick to their promises, you know, but we know how that fucking goes. That could be, actually. That actually could be. But, you know, it's one of the things that'd be a good lesson for them, too, because, you know, sometimes we got to learn to grind out the time just to get through it, kind of thing. So you gotta have an aspect of patience in yourself like that. So you know, that'd be a good aspect too. We could take. I just don't want them to break my kids. You know what I'm saying? That's really the fear, right? So shit, I'd love it if they'd kick in with algebra. The algebra book I got's from the 1960s, and I struggle with it sometimes. I'm like, fuck, this is serious. So it's like, it's like, you know, it's not like I wouldn't want the help, but what's the cost? You know, I mean, what happens when your kid comes home telling them that I don't know who I am on the inside? You know, what does a parent do with that? It's already a struggle making it through childhood, making it through puberty, making it through that part of life. You know, you don't understand jack shit. You got to count on people whom you can supposedly trust to explain it to you. You know, the last thing you want is adults in that kind of position telling your kids something that destroys their whole life. So it's like, what do?
We'll just have to search for everything animated is the key, it sounds like. Whatever you want to learn, animated. How to unlearn Common Core math, animated.
Yeah. Common Core is fucking evil, dude. No shit. It teaches their kids.
I've heard horror stories, yeah.
Dude, it's so bad. When I was talking to an engineer about it, he's like, if you tried to visualize these concepts and come up with something, you would have a car where the front end would face one way and the back end would face another way because of the way the concepts visualize. And he basically said that if they continue teaching them this math, that their spatial understanding skills of visualization are going to be like crippled. And so you got to know how important that is to be able to walk up on something and visualize it being there before you approach it. Because sometimes you won't even begin to know where to start if you don't have that ability. And they're taking that away from them, dude. And that's some scary shit too.
That is. Comment here from Steady Presence. Screw algebra, keep their light bright.
I heard that, buddy. I heard that. No, it's not something I want to do. It's something that my wife's like, she needs to learn algebra. And I'm like, really? Does she? But does she? Do you use algebra? That's so. Anyways, the wife says so. It's
I
better.
think that book from 1960s will be just fine. I'm pretty sure 1960s algebra is better than 2022 algebra. So,
yeah, and that was why that was specifically why we got it. When we ran up on it and we saw the date, and we knew for a fact they weren't going to have that bogus math in there. It's just, man, the things that they used to learn earlier. We're dumb. Like, as a society, we're not smart, and they are making us dumber as we go. And it's just something you can almost markedly see now.
Two more comments from Steady Presence before we move on to the last question here. I always keep in mind that Woodrow Wilson didn't learn to read until he was 11, and he turned into a scholar. And a war criminal, but I'll take it.
I was just fit to be like, well, probably number one worst evil motherfucker that ever ran.
It could have gone either way, though, right? I mean,
right?
Goes the wrong way.
No, right? No, that's great.
So
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say there's a lot of people that started out with humble beginnings that became quite powerful in the end.
Yeah.
Hopefully, just for the good. That's it. Good's a choice, right? I believe in that. I believe that good's a choice, right? Like
every day.
Yeah, because if you're benign, right? If you won't hurt nothing or help nothing, then you're not really actively making a choice to be good. You got to choose to be good, so to speak.
That's right. What would you tell people that want to get started in homesteading, homeschooling, any of it?
Do it today. Don't wait. Like, get you a pot, plant that shit in your window. Put it in your window. Do it today. Start with simple things, hard to kill. Some herbs. Do it today. You want to homeschool your kids? That's a scary thing, but only starting out. And then it turns out to be like free, fun, exciting. It teaches you things. Like, it makes you think on levels that you ain't thought of in a long time, because you're trying to get on a level that they can understand, and then you're trying to explain it. So really, you're re-explaining it to yourself in a way that you even understand simply and clearer. So it's do it. And then if you're worried about, well, I got work at this time, you know what? Homeschool don't have to go on at fucking normal school times if that's not what I know people that don't start their homeschool till the afternoon. All morning long, there's no homeschool because that's not in their scheduling. But they do their homeschooling around 2 till like dinner. And so it's like that. It's a different thing, and you have a lot of control over how you administer this. You know what I'm saying? So, like, don't be scared, even though it seems like a frightening thing, because it is in the beginning, because you don't know, and that's what makes it scary, right? But fucking do it. Especially if you're in one of those states where they're actively trying to fuck your kid up. I mean, what are you trading here? You know what I'm saying? What are you doing to their future? How bad are you willing to break their beginning so you have your now? That's something you got to think about.
Yeah, it's I listen to a lot of homeschool like podcasts and people that are in it, and like it's homeschooling isn't always the answer, but whatever works for you guys, like it's literally anything other than like government school is pretty much going to be the answer. Very rarely is government school the answer for any like individual child, let alone the masses, right? I mean, figure out how to make it work, like whatever your like learning style because that's the other thing, right? Because you got 5 kids, so that's 5 different learning styles.
Oh boy.
So maybe homeschooling isn't for all of them. Maybe it's for half of them, and the other 2.5 need to learn a different way. Who knows? Do one of those like I don't know, like outdoor schools or like Waldorf or something. I don't know.
Well, and that's really, and have a little faith in your kid. Like there's a lot of shit you don't remember from school. I know, right? Like we're old. We don't remember that shit. How much shit in elementary school do you not remember? So, have a
All of
little
it?
faith in your kid, right? Right. Exactly, dude. Exactly.
Just the
They're
traumatic
gonna
parts.
right. Just like the paddling and shit, right? And it's like, yeah, all right. I'm old, so I went to one of those kind of schools. But it's like, I don't know, man. When it comes down to it, it doesn't matter what it costs because of what it pays, So it's like it ain't even about you at that point. I mean, you got to look around and see how much can you trust those where you're at. If you're in a small town where everybody knows each other, you got a good shot at like teachers not wanting to ruin their hometown by being somebody that's talked about. So you got a good shot at that. But if you're in one of these cities, man, that obviously ain't going in your direction of liberty and things like that, and you just got to think about what they're doing to your kid. And you got to go kind of look at the curriculums they're offering. Look what they're talking about. Go to the school and visit at lunch and look around at their peer group and see how they're dressing, see how they're acting, see how they're talking. You got to know. Don't be scared of that. Sometimes we're too scared to know that answer because then we have to make a decision. But if you need to be pushed, go get that push because it's for the best for you and your kid.
There's got to be something that they're teaching your kid that you're not going to like. And their minds are so absorbing of like everything. And so it might not seem like a big deal. Like, oh, well, I'm not like crazy about that, but I guess it's okay. Like, no, it's like, think of it like a splinter in their like mind, and it's going to fester into something awful.
Perfect example. Hey, I agree 100%. They'll drop poison pills in your child's mind, and it'll be the most destructive part of their life.
Yeah. Last comment here. Steady Presence. Homeschool Loftcast is a good one. They're near us. I'm assuming that's a podcast, and they're located around where Steady Presence is, which is Wisconsin. So you have to comment back and let us know exactly what that is, if that's a podcast or if that's like a learning style curriculum, something or other. But yeah, what else did you want to wrap up on, man?
I don't know. Like as it stands, I suppose you guys look around, you know what's coming. I mean, if you wait, it's at your own peril. I mean, I don't know what to tell you other than that. It'll change your life, all for the better, in my opinion. Makes you appreciate. I mean, it's good for your soul, So when it comes to that, that's what I would say about like homesteading, trying to grow and build and do, makes you a better person, guaranteed.
It sounds like what you're saying is there's no downsides. Like, okay, so like if you start gardening and like, let's say you're kind of adequate at it, and like, okay, so maybe you only got like a couple tomatoes and a couple onions or something like that. Well, then you still like learned how to do that thing.
Yeah.
Like even if you pretty much sucked at it, but then if you liked it, you can get into it like a lot more. And even if you didn't like it, but it's supplementing some of like your inputs from like buying tomatoes and onions at the store, like, and with the price of materials, price of food just going crazy. Well, I'm not crazy about having to do this, but it's saving me money, so I'm going to keep doing it. So,
yeah, and supplementing is what you're going to do. Replacement, even back in the day, it wasn't replacement. I mean, like that's just something that folks got to get out of their head, that they can do it all and replace everything. You can't. unless every one of your neighbors around you is doing the exact same thing you're doing. And even then, you'd still have to break it up. Some of you'd have to do this, some of you'd have to do that. So your goal set, if you think your goal set is complete and total replacement, you got more money and time than I got, because I can't see that happening for normal people. But what I can see happening is your nutrient level won't go down. You'll be able to eat pretty much when you need to, even if you got to supplement, because, you know, money's funny and price everything's stupid. So you're only buying a quarter or half of what you were getting. Well, lucky for you, you're growing the other quarter or the other half, you know. And then good thing too, you got people that wasn't as prepared as you, but they got shit you want, so they're willing to trade for it. I'm just saying, man, these things, they were around a long time before we were civil. We were doing all this before we had a government to tell us to, or people making rules for us. That's how we got along. I don't feel like we're so far away from that won't come back to us in a level that's going to be adequate enough for folks to stay afloat. You know?
Yeah, it's kind of surprising that we didn't really even get into the community until just now. That about like this whole time we haven't even touched on community, but that'll have to be another topic for another time. Maybe on a Twitter space. I'll catch you on a Twitter space and be like, hey, community. Yeah, community.
Yeah, if you ever see me in a room, most of the time people know who I am there. Like 80% of the time I hang out with my, you know, people that know me. So, you know, you ever see it, you just pop on in, dude, and I'll get you a mic.
I'm with him.
Hang out with him. Yeah, just hang out, dude. I do have a little bit of a reputation on the spaces a little bit. So, yeah, I get asked quite a few questions.
That's awesome, dude. I've learned a ton. This was a really fun interview, and I'm glad we could connect this way, because like you jumped into one of my Twitter spaces one time, and I was like, this guy, like, I gotta know more about this dude. Like, he sounds nuts. I want to talk to him.
I appreciate that. I like to be a little nuts, you know, because how life would be so boring if you wasn't a little bit mad, right?
Right. Okay, so if people want to follow you, you are on Twitter at @MyRoosterWisdom. So
@MyRoosterWisdom.
Link for that in the show notes. And hey, man, I just wanted to say appreciate you being here tonight. Been a lot of fun.
Absolutely, it was great. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. You have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
All right, bro.
Very entertaining and crazy interview with Chicken Whisperer. Loved hearing his backstory and talking with a real salt of the earth father and husband. I'd love to see his place someday. Thanks for watching, everyone. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video. You can check us out on Fountain FM podcast player, or, you know, a different one, whatever. I think you'd like Fountain, though. You're in Satoshis just for listening, if that's your thing. And if it's not your thing, you could tip me in Satoshis. It's my thing. I'll take them from you. Visit our website, farmhoplife.com. Sign up for our email list or Telegram channel there to be notified when new videos, interviews, and podcasts are available. We are on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, MeWe, and Float. Email me anytime, matt@farmhoplife.com. Go to farmhoplife.com/20x23 to learn more about our 20 by 23 project, where we're going to visit 20 homesteads in the year 2023. And I'm always looking for new people to interview. If you want to come on to talk about homesteading, farming, food security, homeschooling, regenerative agriculture, alternative building methods, or something else, pitch me an idea. Go to farmhoplife.com/guest. Go feed yourself.
Inside of the city, the people are crazy. Out of their minds, they ain't got a clue. We gone away, headed west for Montana. Left family and friends, all I got now is you. We both got new jobs, a house and a homestead, thinking this was the life, all that there'd be. After our firstborn, you had to stay home. That's when the work got in the way for me. Well, I started Farm Hop Life. We'll come to your farm to help and to wander. Me and the family, a truck and an RV. Send us a message and there